right, so now coming up, we are going to let me swing it over here. We're giving our official predictions. Stop combining. Don't get me started, Google Chrome. We're gonna do our official predictions. These are probably gonna change because there's obviously a bunch of still free agents out there. Things could happen in the preseason. Joe Burrow could retire to become a youth pastor somewhere. You don't know. But we're going to do our predictions for this year on who we think is going to win each division, who we think is going to make the playoffs for each team or each division, each conference. Let me try that again. And what seed they'll be, and then do some predictions on who we think is going to make it to the Super Bowl and who's going to win. We're going to kind of do it together, kind of talk about it, see if we can agree on each one. We usually do this every year. We'll put like $5 into a bet on who we think will win every division. And usually we get maybe outside of the obvious ones, we get like every other one wrong.
There's always just that team that surprises.
Yeah, and like we just talked about, the Panthers made and almost beat the Rams in the playoffs last year. So it's like you don't know who's winning in this division. Like I don't know, but we're gonna start off. Let's just go left to right, AFC West to the NFC North. Who initially comes to your mind here? Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs probably are not going to win that division since they're probably missing Mahomes for a good chunk of the season, and I don't know if Justin Fields is going to be able to maintain top of the division while he's out.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, they definitely have a running game now by adding Kenneth Walker. That's a great element for them. They got Peter Woods in the back half of the first round, which if he can live up to the first round expectation, a lot of people think that. He's going to be really good in the NFL. They also got Mansour Delane. So they traded away an all-pro cornerback. Mansour Delane very well could be a very serviceable starter for them, but an all-pro is just a different kind of level. And you are not guaranteed that in any draft pick that you pick just to come out and be an all-pro. So I disagreed with their path there, but they're a very well-ran organization. So, they obviously know better than I do. But I like Denver repeating as the division champs in this division. The Chargers, they just seem to underwhelm every year. They've made some good pickups throughout the offseason, but I don't think they've done anything that substantially has set them apart from the other teams in the division. So, me personally, I'm going to go with Denver here. I think they repeat. I think the defense is going to be just like it was last year. Be that number one scoring defense in the league. But like we said, Bo Nix, huge winner of the offseason with Jalen Waddle there now. So now the offense is even more dangerous, factoring in Jonah Coleman as well.
Yeah, and I think we'll do like first and second place just for when it comes to wild cards so that we can have who we need to have. I personally think I agree it's Denver. They're in the best position, well-rounded team to win. I think finishing second is going to be the Chargers. I think Justin Herbert's still a very good quarterback. I think that they will be able to remain consistent enough offensively and defensively. I don't think that the Chiefs and especially the Raiders, with how they're kind of in a rebuild, are going to be able to keep up with them in that division to finish any higher than third.
Yeah, I think I like that. I want to believe in the Raiders so bad. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to believe in them just because their new coach, they went all out for their team this offseason with a lot of signings that they made, and they retained Max Crosby. But I do think Kirk Cousins, if he is the starter at the helm, I don't think he's going to push them over the top. So I agree. I think that they'll I still think they have another year.
Yeah, and I mean, I watched I don't know if you ever watched the quarterbacks series on Netflix, but there was one with Kirk Cousins on there, and he's such a likable guy, super cool guy. You got to kind of watch how he kind of fell off of being the starting quarterback with the Falcons. So I'm hoping that he has a better year. I think he could help the growth of Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers, being really the first veteran. I think he's better than Geno Smith, skill level quarterback that is going to help them elevate not only their statistics, but how they play the game of football. I feel like he can teach them a lot.
Yep, for sure.
As for the AFC East, I feel like this one, I mean, you're coming down between New England and Buffalo. I think that Miami is officially entering into the sweepstakes for the number one overall pick. The Jets, I feel like they had a fairly good draft. They drafted off the top of head Sadiq.
They had a great draft.
Yeah, Sadiq and David Bailey are the two first round picks they had. But I feel like they're still I'm gonna leave them there in case you want to fight back. They're still in a rebuild. I don't think that they really are going to contend against the Patriots or the Bills.
You're not winning anything with Geno Smith. That's all I have to
Valid,
say.
valid. And me, I will start off by saying I think that the Patriots are overrated. I think that they got lucky, respectfully, and I think the Bills are winning this division.
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo as well. I like the moves that they made on defense through the draft. Not only that, you added DJ Moore to the mix
Yeah.
when it comes to Josh Allen finally having that number one receiving threat. And who was I can't remember the receiver that they drafted, but they also spent a draft pick on a good receiver, and I cannot remember who it is. But, so I think the offense is going to be even more explosive than it was last year.
Skylar Bell.
Yeah, Skylar Bell. So they have a slot receiver there as well. And Skylar Bell is supposed to be, one of the best slot receivers that were in the draft this year. So Buffalo, to me, is the best team in the division. No disrespect to New England. And now I will say this. If they do end up trading for A.J. Brown, I do like their chances a little bit more. I do think with the addition of A.J. Brown, if it does go through, I think they're going to squeak in as a wild card team into the playoffs. I don't think they're going to completely fall off. However, I do wonder how much everything going on with Mike Vrabel is going to be a distraction for the team. How much is this going to bleed into the season? Are they going to be able to put it to bed? What is the future of Mike Vrabel? I mean, I definitely don't think he's getting fired. I don't think anything's going to happen to him. But at the same time, these are all distractions. This isn't something that you need. New England, one thing I will give them, they benefited greatly off of the easiest schedule in the league last year, and they won the games that they were supposed to win. No disrespect to that. That is a hard thing to do in the NFL. But I agree with your assessment. A little overrated in the sense where if we're talking about having even the 15th hardest schedule in the league or 15th easiest schedule, like middle of the pack, I don't think that they're going to be a number 2 seed in the AFC, and I think they drop down to that wild card team. So I think they have the ability to sneak into the playoffs, but I do think Buffalo's the favorites this year.
Yeah, and you look in when they started playing in the playoffs, they played against the Seahawks, and I'm pretty sure it was the Seahawks. You could see not the Seahawks.
They would have had Denver and
let me look it up.
The AFC Championship game was Denver, and they played. Who did they beat in the Texans? The Texans. C.J. Stroud.
Yes.
He threw 9 interceptions.
Yeah, you could see how that offense. It was when they played against an elite defense. They were
right.
They had no type of. They look like the Bengals when they had Jake Browning a quarterback.
Right.
Like that was like, dude, how did these guys get here?
Yep.
And so, I mean, that plays into a role of Drake May being young. I also feel like they're kind of trolling their running back room by not giving Travion Henderson a full workload. I feel like he is far and away the best running back there, and I don't know what they have against him. I think if they get a few more weapons, they let Drake May grow, they get this drama out of the coaching, all that stuff going on with Vrabel, get that out of their systems and focus on football. They have a chance. I think they will be a wild card team. I agree with that. I just don't know. I don't think that they have all of the tools to play against someone like the Bills, who had a phenomenal draft, great trade getting a wide receiver 1. They still have Dalton Kincaid. They still have James Cook. They still have Josh Allen, obviously, the arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I think it's the AFC East is the Patriots versus the Bills, and I think the Bills will win.
Yep.
Cool. You can start this one. Who you got?
So, was it Jacksonville that won the division last year? And
yes.
Houston snuck in as the wild card team.
So did the Colts, right? Or no, they just missed out.
Yeah, they kind of
Jones went down.
Once Daniel Jones went down, they kind of imploded from there. I like the additions that Tennessee has made this year. I don't think they're getting Robert Saleh in as your head coach. I actually really liked him as a head coach. It was the most competitive the Jets have been in I don't know how long. But, who's going to go in and turn around the Jets? Nobody. So I feel like it's hard to judge a coach off that. So I'm glad that Tennessee got Saleh, and they got Brian Daboll, who is a good offensive coordinator. But I don't think that they are there as far as ready to take on the division. However, this is one of those divisions that is like the NFC South, where I feel like it's kind of up in the air. You really don't know which way it could go. I like the additions that Indiana made throughout the draft, they got our draft crush and C.J. Allen.
Yeah.
So they got what we felt like was one of the better linebackers in the draft. You also extended Alec Pierce, and you got Jonathan Taylor still there. Man, this is a really tough division to call because Jacksonville is a high-powered offense. They did lose Travis Etienne. I'm gonna go with Houston this year, though. That defense is just something else. They are just sensational. They added Caden McDonald, who was the best defensive tackle in the draft this year, or at least nose tackle. So I like Houston. I think their defense is just over the top. And CJ Stroud, like if their offensive line can just get up to par and be a middle of the pack team, I think we're going to kind of see rookie year CJ Stroud come back. But I think one of the biggest downfalls with CJ Stroud is one, he's been switching offensive coordinators throughout his career. And two, he's been losing a lot on the offensive line. It's hard to perform when you have less than 2 seconds to throw the football. But as long as the offensive line pans out, I like Houston in the division.
Yeah. You also got to think it plays a role with CJ Stroud and the Texans. Since Joe Mixon went down, they've not been able to have a true starting caliber running back.
Right.
So they've also been lacking that true run game that Joe Mixon brought them, while also Nico Collins has struggled with injuries. So I mean, if Nico Collins can stay healthy and someone can emerge as like a true workhorse running back for the Texans, that'll only improve the offense. Defense obviously is arguably one of the best ones in the league, and they still got Caden McDonald, and they also got Kamari Ramsey in the fifth, who has a chance of getting meaningful rotational playing time early on. So I think that while they stayed the same, if slightly improved with the draft, I don't feel like Jacksonville did the same. They've got Tootin starting at running back this year. You've got no real true wide receiver core. Brian Thomas struggled last year. Travis Hunter went down with an injury and is coming back probably only as a corner. So offensively, you don't really have a Britton Strange as your tight end one. You don't really have like a high-powered offense that can match, or not match, but compete with Houston's defense. I just think that Houston's too good. I think that whoever wins this division will make the playoffs, and whoever doesn't is most likely out of the playoffs. I think the Colts. We don't know when Daniel Jones is coming back. I don't think that they are going to be able to compete enough this year to be able to win the division. I think it'll be between them and Jacksonville between second and third.
You got me in the first half there when you said I think whoever wins this division will make the playoffs. I was like, well, duh, but then you followed up.
You're like, wait a minute, who is this idiot?
But then you followed up and said, what'd you say? Whoever doesn't win it will be left out of the playoffs.
Yeah, whoever doesn't win
I
it.
agree.
Yeah, whoever doesn't. Yeah. If Jacksonville doesn't win the division, they're not making the playoffs. Whoever wins the division, you're playing for a playoff spot. It's the same as the NFC South.
Yep, I agree with that.
So I'm just doing this so it helps me keep up with who we think is going and who we don't, so we can get the seeding right. I'll let you. Do you want to start off with our division, or do you want me to do it? This one's tough.
It is tough. You may be a little bit less biased than me. I'm going to let you start off.
Yeah, I think this year more than most is between the Bengals and the Ravens. Cleveland had a phenomenal draft, but their quarterback room is still so shaky. Pittsburgh, you really don't know what to expect. You don't know if Aaron Rodgers is playing. You don't know if it's Will Howard, if it's
Drew Aller.
Drew Aller. And you lost Mike Tomlin. He's been your certified guaranteed to go 9-8 or better for the last several years. You don't have that anymore. So Pittsburgh and Cleveland are in a weird spot where, I mean, they could overperform, but more than likely, especially in this division where you've got two outstanding quarterbacks on the other team, I think it really comes down to Baltimore and Cincinnati. And I mean, you're going to have Cincinnati you're going to have Paycor Stadium is going to be a 1:00 game on Sunday, and you're going to have at Baltimore is going to be a Thursday night game at 8:30. Realistically, I think that Baltimore is still going to win. I feel like they kind of have this. They're on watch notice on this league. They own this league until proven otherwise. But I think Cincinnati more than ever has a chance to win. And as long as they stay healthy, they're a lock for the playoff either way. It's just whether or not they can win the division.
For sure. The biggest thing for this year when it comes to Cincinnati for me is back in 2021 when they won the division during their Super Bowl run was they had that rotation of B.J. Hill, Larry Ogunjobi. They had Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson right there in the sweet spot of their primes that were getting to the quarterback in a hurry. And that was one of the reasons why they, were able to beat Baltimore that year. And I also I think Lamar missed some time that year as well, if I'm not mistaken. But ultimately, the biggest thing with this season is going to come down to is, can this defensive line get pressure on the quarterback? If they go back to, like the 2021 defensive line where they're getting after the quarterback in a hurry, I do think that they win this division. Me personally, like outside of bias, I do think the Bengals are taking the division this year. I like the moves that they have made more than Baltimore has. I mean, Baltimore, they missed the playoffs last year. I understand that, like Joe Burrow, Lamar missed some time last year, but they missed the playoffs as well. They haven't made really any moves that have taken them over the top this offseason. They've lost, if anything. You don't have John Harbaugh now. What are we getting out of your first year head coach? Is it Jesse Minter that came from the Chargers, who's a defensive minded coach? So we don't know what you're going to get out of your offensive coordinator either, because Todd Monken went to Cleveland. There's just so many question marks there for me for Baltimore. They obviously have Lamar and Derrick Henry, which, you could argue is the best quarterback running back duo in the NFL right now. As far as like, you cannot, like, it's hard to stop those two. So that it's really tough, but based off of just moves that they've made throughout the offseason and the draft, I like Cincinnati's current situation better, but I think that both of these teams are making the playoffs. So I am comfortable leaving Baltimore there as the winner of the AFC North, because Lamar's record, against Cincinnati is like, what is it, 14-2 or something? I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. He just owns Cincinnati. So it very well could be that Baltimore is going to take the division this year, but I think both of them ultimately make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that who wins this division is literally going to come down to their matchups. I think both teams are 10-plus win teams this year. And I think that is literally going to, it could end up, we obviously don't have the schedule. If they play week 17 or 18 against each other, I think that could be the deciding factor on which team is winning the division and which team is not. So I think that the one thing that the Bengals have done that the Ravens have not done, or I shouldn't say they have not done, but they've not done as good, is the interior of the line of scrimmage. We have significantly improved. They brought in a rookie, but they're not on the same level as they were. It really is all going to come down to, can we stop Lamar Jackson from buying time until somebody gets open? We watched time and time again when he would get to moving around the pocket, he would get lost. There's times where I'm like, oh, he's just going to throw it away. And then he scampers around and throws a 10-yard touchdown. So it all is going to come down to, can we stop Lamar Jackson from getting so much time in the pocket to allow his players to get open?
And I will say, I do like that they drafted 2 receivers in the draft this year. Jacoby Lane was one. I can't remember what the other one was. So they're definitely trying to address that wide receiver 2 position aside from Zay Flowers. So we'll kind of see if they can pan out and what they'll become.
Yeah, Jacoby Lane, which I think is like 6'5", 6'4", and then Elijah Surratt from Indiana.
Yep, Indiana.
So yeah, I think that these two teams, and these two teams, Buffalo and Denver, are far and away the top 4 teams in the AFC. But unfortunately, the Bengals and Baltimore are in the same division. But I think they're both contenders to win the Super Bowl. If Cincinnati hits stride and stays healthy, I think that they're better than Baltimore. But until proven otherwise, I can't put Cincinnati above Baltimore until they prove that they can do that, because of how many years in a row we've lost to them.
Yeah.
So that is our AFC. Do you want to put our AFC seeding in, or do you want to go through the NFC winners first?
Let's see. We can do AFC seeding.
All right. Who are we thinking is the 1 seed?
This is hard because we don't know the schedules yet.
This is all just guessing at this point on team scale.
Yeah, we can do another video later where we kind of do our predictions later on, because this is hard. We don't know the schedules yet. I think that given the state of the division, it's tough, because I feel like I feel like Buffalo is just supposed to be that team that's supposed to take off every year, and they just seem to fall short. They're going to have a tougher schedule as well, but I like some of the moves that they've made.
I also like to consider the fact, I think it's personally between Buffalo and Denver. I feel like Denver, with their problem, is they're playing against 3 teams that yes, you don't have Mahomes. Yes, you got Cousins or Mendoza starting, but all three of those teams improved. So like your chances of winning those games got significantly harder. They're not the same as playing the Dolphins and the Jets, who are clearly
Right.
rebuilding. You got Malik Willis at quarterback for the Dolphins and Geno Smith for the Jets, who both of those players realistically should probably be backup quarterbacks. I think that in the AFC East, I feel like Buffalo is primed to be the 1 seed. It's just whether or not they can continually win those games that they're supposed to win to get there.
Right. And I think, yeah, I think I'm comfortable putting Buffalo there. Yeah.
Okay. So then 2, 3, and 4, you'll have to help educate me with this because this always confuses me. But 2, 3, and 4, I'm pretty sure is it Denver, Houston, and Baltimore?
Yeah. Well, yeah. 1 through 4 is the division winners.
Right. Which I think number 2 is either Baltimore or Denver. I lean more Baltimore, or I'm sorry, I lean more Denver, just because of how much harder the AFC North is. But I think both teams could realistically be the 2 seed, just depending on winning those a margin of 1 or 2 game difference.
I like Denver because they did lose some pieces on the defensive line, John Franklin Myers, and but like we talked about, they got what's his name? They got Jalen Waddle. So I do think that their offense is a lot better, so they're not going to have to rely on their defense as much as they did last year. So I do like Denver in that 2 spot.
Yeah, and I can see like with Buffalo, Denver, Baltimore, and Cincinnati all having around like 12 plus wins, whereas I see Houston's peak kind of hitting around 10 wins, maybe 11.
Yeah,
and that's if they can figure out their offense. So that's kind of how I would view the first 1 through 4 with the division winners, and then I think that we're probably both in agreement that Cincinnati would be the 5 seed, unless you would think otherwise. Which I guess kind of that would leave. They really just leave New England and the Chargers.
I think the Chargers will be that team. I think they're the 7 seed. I think they'd be that team that kind of squeaks in.
Yeah, I agree in a sense that it's almost the same with Buffalo and Denver, where Buffalo's competition within the interconference or within a division, which is all we can really know right now, is significantly worse as to where I feel like the Chargers, with how their offensive line has struggled from time to time, and not having that significant superstar offensive lineman being added to the team. Obviously, they had Joe Alt and Penei Sewell, which I believe they'll both be healthy by the start of the season. But overall, the AFC West is just a harder division. I think that New England will be able to squeak out more wins interdivision, which will help them be able to get a better record than the Chargers by the time playoff comes around.
So, one thing that's tough about New England, because I wanted to look it up, the AFC East, that division, they have to play the NFC North this year. So they each get to play games against all those teams. So that right there alone is making New England's schedule a lot harder.
Right.
Because every single one of those teams, like you could argue, if Kyler Murray takes over for quarterback for the Vikings and that offense lives up to the hype, you could argue that, did 3 of those teams make playoffs last year? Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay, didn't they all make the playoffs?
Yes.
So, think about that. You're talking about 3 teams that made the playoffs last year that they now have to face next year in their schedule.
And then just last year, I believe Minnesota 2 years ago was in the playoffs as well, like a very very good record. I can't remember I think it was like 14-3.
Yep.
So you've got 4 very good teams that one of them just unfortunately drafted the worst quarterback in the history of first round picks. But these other teams all have elite caliber quarterbacks. Jared Goff, you can call him a game manager, whatever you want. He plays the game good, and he's surrounded by superstars everywhere. So I think the NFC North, that's going to be a fun one to discuss. But I agree with our 1 through 7 on how the seeding is going to kind of work out for the playoffs.
Yep.
NFC West. This is another division. They've got 3 really solid teams. I'm going to let you start off.
NFC West. Seattle's kind of in that place where they're going to be relying on some rookies this year. They lost Kenneth Walker in their run game. So, they did lose Tariq Woolen, which he kind of fell off after he had a hot start to the beginning of his career. So, I'm not sure that that's really as much of a loss as some people think it is. The Rams are obviously seen as the favorites almost every single year to take that division. So I really like Mike McDonald, though, the head coach of Seattle. My biggest question mark is the new offensive coordinator. Are they going to be clicking like like they were last year with their former offensive coordinator? I think his name's Clint Kubiak, I think, that went to the Raiders.
Yeah.
So there's kind of question marks there for me, whereas the Rams, you know what you're going to get. I'm taking the Rams. They got Trent McDuffie via trade. They have that All-Pro corner. I like the moves that they made. I'm going with the Rams to take this division this
Yeah.
next year.
And I might be tripping. Let me fact check myself real quick. Yeah, the Rams also signed Jalen Watson from the Chiefs. So I think they took their CB1 and CB2 and brought them to their team. So the Rams, obviously, they had what we see as like a bizarre pick for contenders, drafting Ty Simpson with their 13th overall pick. But the rest of their team is so solid. I feel like I thought they were winning the Super Bowl last year. I'm kind of shocked that they didn't. I think it really comes down to, I think San Francisco is a playoff team, but I don't think that they're really in competition with these two teams. I feel like they are powerhouses in the NFC. I don't think San Francisco is going to be able to reach that level, especially with how their team is set up. I don't think that they're going to be able to match the level of offense that both of these teams bring unless Sam Darnold has some type of regression. I think Arizona, with where they're at, I don't think they have, outside of Jacoby Brissett, a good quarterback. I think they're in limbo right now. They're in sweepstakes for number one pick. Jeremiah Love's going to be interesting and going to be fun to watch. They don't really have a wide receiver one at this point. Marvin Harrison, I feel like, makes their entire offense worse somehow. When he's not playing, Michael Wilson is prime Jamar Chase. When he's playing, he is John Ross. So I don't understand what's going on with that offense. I think they're guaranteed to be non-playoff contenders. I think all three of these teams can still make the playoffs, but I feel that way with three of these divisions in the NFC.
Yeah. And I mean, Arizona is just a weird one. Like, you have Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, but like everywhere else on the offense, they're kind of loaded. Took Jeremiah Love. You got Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and Marvin Harrison. I mean,
you're just not performing. And I don't know if that's play calling or if that's just your quarterback play. Or if it's just them.
They should be like the Bengals, averaging 35 points a game. So, yeah, we'll see with them.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to finish second? I think Seattle will finish second in the division. I think they'll maintain how they're playing. I think they'll still be contenders. But those three teams are phenomenal.
I'm going Seattle. I don't believe too much in San Francisco. I mean, you got two stars on the defense that are coming off pretty serious injuries. Christian McCaffrey, is he going to be able to stay healthy this year? He's getting up in 30. Obviously, he's injury prone. I like Seattle more than I like San Francisco.
Okay. I'm going to leave San Francisco as it is. I think they're playoff contenders. Chance of squeaking into the wild card. I'm going to leave them there and see how it works with the rest of these. For the NFC East, I don't think the Giants are contenders. Washington's a weird one. I feel like Jaden Daniels was injured all last season. I think they're a good team. Same with Philadelphia. You really just don't know how they're going to play without A.J. Brown if he does get traded to the Patriots. Dallas, they made a lot of changes on defense. George Pickens seems like he's staying there. You still have Jake Ferguson, Javonte Williams, obviously Dak Prescott at the helm. I might be tripping, but I kind of feel like Dallas is going to win this division this year. I feel like they made some crazy upgrades on defense that are going to help, and their offense is still explosive.
Yeah, I mean, for Dallas, really the only thing for them, I think everyone kind of agrees what we're going to be getting out of Caleb Downs. Like, there's not really a question mark there if he's going to be a bust. We all know he's going to come in, and he's going to immediately elevate that defense. Malachi Lawrence, on the other hand, who they drafted at the 23rd pick or something.
Mm-hmm.
Some people felt like that was a little bit of a reach. What are you getting out of that? You traded for Quentin Williams. You also traded away, I think, their second best interior defensive lineman to the 49ers for a third-round pick. So you lost that as well. But, I mean, Dallas's offense is just so explosive. And so for them, it's really – I mean, them and the Bengals are like the same organization. High-powered offenses, and will the defense be able to – get the stops, that they need to win the football games. I agree. Philadelphia, like if they do lose A.J. Brown, I don't like the thought of Jalen Hurts playing in an offense without A.J. Brown. I'm not a huge Jalen Hurts believer if he does not have top tier weapons and the best offensive line in football. So I do think that they would kind of take a step back if they lose AJ Brown. But I like Dallas as well, taking the division this year.
Yeah, and I mean you could see the whole offense, the offense as a whole for the Eagles struggled. You didn't get the same Saquon Barkley this year that you got last year until you traded him in fantasy, and then he turned into the old Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
You didn't get like you could see Jalen Hurts was not hitting his passes accurately. The offense was not the same. The defense didn't feel like the same. I don't think that they are the same Super Bowl team that they were 2 years ago and 3 years ago when they won. Yeah, I think it's Dallas's this year. I think that they're finally gonna, whether or not they have a good playoff run is a different story, but I think that this is their division this year. For second place, I think it's really, I mean, who knows? Jackson Dart could elevate himself this year, but I feel like it's between still Philadelphia and Washington. And Washington really just comes down to whether or not you can stay healthy.
Right. Yeah, I really, as much as I've loved everything that the Giants have done so far this offseason, I still think they're about a year away. I do think that, for what probably feels like the first time in 10 years for their fan base, I don't think they'll be picking top 5 next year.
Yeah.
I think that you could see them in the middle of the first round. But I'm not. I'm not sold on them completely yet. I do think that, Harbaugh still needs a couple more pieces that he needs.
Yeah. So, I mean, my personal opinion is I think that the Eagles are going to I think they're going to be almost kind of like the Chargers where they're going to sneak into the playoffs. I think that they'll finish second in the East. But I don't see them making it deep into the playoffs. And I don't really see Washington this year until they prove otherwise being able to contend with making the playoffs. I think they'll be better. I think they'll improve from last year. Granted, Jaden Daniels stays healthy, but I'm not convinced that they'll be able to surpass the Eagles or the Cowboys this year.
Yeah, and they're one of those teams where they spent I think they spent the most money in free agency. Them and the Raiders spent the most to improve their teams. So Washington definitely they have everything that they need to be successful. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. As for the NFC South, again, we talked about this just shortly before we started doing this one. I mean, I wouldn't say all 4 of these teams, but those top 3 teams, I think all could potentially sneak in to make it. Who do you think is the team that is going to make it from this group of 4?
Well, I'll say this. I'm already counting out the Atlanta Falcons. I don't believe in them, to be 100% honest with you. So I will say, man, Tyler Show, he's a huge winner from this offseason with those receivers they got. As long as Jordan Tyson can stay healthy, and they got they spent another draft pick on another wide receiver. I can't remember his name. But so, I mean, then on top of that, you got Chris Olave. So he's going to have plenty of weapons to work with this coming year, but I don't think that they are there yet. I do think that the division is still going to come down to Carolina and Tampa Bay. I personally like Carolina to repeat this year. That's also tough too, because they lost Rico Dowdle. That was a big piece in their run game that they don't have anymore. So is Jonathan Brooks, this running back from Texas, are his knees going to hold up and he's going to turn into that role that Rico Dowdle had for them and they're not going to miss a beat? That's kind of hard. But what makes this division so hard for me is I don't believe in any of the teams. But I think that Carolina is in the best situation compared to the other teams. So I'm picking Carolina to win the division this year.
Okay. Yeah, the New Orleans Saints, I mean, they had a sneaky, really good draft. I mean, they brought in, not only did they bring in Jordan Tyson, they did bring in Bryce Lance from North Dakota State, wide receiver. It was. But they also brought in Barian Brown, which you and I were getting pretty juiced up on about the Bengals potentially selecting him. He is lightning fast. He's almost like that Rashid Shaheed where he could take the top off of the defense, and which could improve Jordan Tyson and Chris Olave's flow of offense. But they also got Oscar Delp at tight end. So they got a lot of solid, proven college players that have upside in the NFL. So I think that they had a phenomenal draft offensively.
For sure.
They're getting better. You just got to hope that Tyler Show can improve, and whoever comes out at running back, which I don't think is anybody known outside of Kamara, I think is still on the team. They don't really have a true running back. Same problem that
No, they got Travis Etienne now.
HN. Okay, that I
Yeah,
never
H
actually
N.
knew. I never
Yeah.
actually knew where he went. That changes things. So they got a running back, but I still don't think that they are on the level of Tampa Bay or Carolina. I think that they'll probably have a early teens pick just
So,
outside the top 10.
their coach is Kellen Moore now, right? I think that's their head coach.
Yeah, Kellen Moore.
Yeah, so this is an offensive-minded coach where when he was that 1 year, I think it was Saquon Barkley's first year with the Eagles, maybe. Remember when Saquon was going off? He beat Jamar Chase 2 years ago for the Offensive Player of the
Mm-hmm.
Year. Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator of that team. So this dude knows how to call an offense. He knows how to whip up a run game because you saw that in Philadelphia. So this offense, if it lives up to the hype, should be really good. But I don't think it'll be this year. I think they're still 1 or 2 years away, but they are close.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is where the first one we're kind of not in agreement per se. I think it's Tampa Bay's to lose. Obviously, Carolina won last year, but they won off of a crazy breakout out of Rico Dowdle, which they don't have anymore, and they didn't address the running back room in the draft. Again, we talked about this. It could be either of these teams. I can agree that it could be the Panthers. I think it's honestly a 50-50. Both these teams are like an at-large bid in the college football playoffs. They're going to get in and lose in the first round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see. I would lean more towards Tampa Bay, but I could still see Carolina. Again, this is the same as the AFC South, where whoever does not win the division is not making the playoffs. So I'm good to go Carolina. I think. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing I forgot about to mention with Carolina. The biggest thing for me that pushed them over the top was they got Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher from the Eagles, and they also signed the best linebacker in free agency in Devin Lloyd. So I think that as far as free agents go, they made the better moves to upgrade their team, where I'm not sure Tampa Bay did the same.
Yeah, which again, Tampa Bay, I feel like overall they're a better team. I think they choked. But it's the same as Baltimore and Cincinnati on me. I can't. I think that Tampa Bay's a better team, and in the end, depending on how the schedules look, I think are in a good spot to win it. But they didn't last year, and I'm pretty sure they played towards the end of the season and they lost. So yeah, I'll put Carolina in, but Tampa. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. And I think again, just like the other division on the South on the AFC, whoever does not win it is not making the playoffs.
Tampa Bay, it looks like they got Jake Browning. Oh, Super Bowl contenders now. They got Alex Anzalon from I think it was with Detroit last year, and they got Kenneth Gainwell. So that's really their main additions that they got. So I guess we'll see.
Their biggest hurdle is they got to stay healthy.
Yep.
Because you had Bucky Irving miss several games. Chris Godwin missed most of the season. You're definitely not winning the division if both of them are still struggling to be healthy.
Right.
Last division we got is the NFC North, which is just like the NFC East, where there is, I mean, in this division, if the Vikings figured out a quarterback, you got 4 teams that could win the division.
Yep.
And I don't honestly, I think Detroit is still the best team in this division just because they're the most complete. But I think the Bears are, and honestly, I would start off with the Bears. I think they have a really good chance of winning the division this year. Green Bay also. I mean, you kind of see how their defense or their offense struggled more once the tight end went down. Tucker Kraft. Once he went down, you could kind of see how the offense at times was extremely inconsistent. I think that unless they figure out something outside of that, I don't think that Green Bay is in contention this year to win the division. I think they're still a playoff contending team, but I think it's this year between the Bears and the Lions.
So, this is another division where I feel like you and I will disagree on because I like Minnesota this year if Kyler Murray can get the offense to where Kevin O'Connell wants them to be. I mean, Sam Darnold, great quarterback, and he fit in that system really well. Kyler Murray is just going to give you another element where I feel like he's got more on his legs that he can use than Sam Darnold does. Minnesota and their defense with Brian Flores is going to be really good as well. So man, I don't know if I'm going to pick them to be division winners. But Chicago, one thing that makes me nervous is you look at all the games last year that they just happened to squeak out, like when they were losing by double digits in the fourth quarter. You had the Bengals game where they gave up a lead. Their defense, like they were not like I mean, they were pretty good, but they weren't like elite or anything. And you have a defense that lost two of their best safeties in Kevin Byard, CJ Gardner Johnson. They both left in free agency. Nashawn Wright is a corner that I believe led the NFL in interceptions last year. You lost him as well. And you lost Jaquan Brisker, which was another good safety for you. So you're talking about, like, four DBs that were major contributors to your defense last year that are now gone. I honestly feel like these are one of those teams that it's going to take a step back. You also lost DJ Moore. I don't understand what the vision is right now for this team this year. I'm a little I don't know. They also, I think they released Tremaine Edmonds as well. So I have a Tremaine Edmonds. I think, was he with Buffalo last year?
Mm,
I may be a couple years off with him. I can't remember.
it was either him or like the. It's like right on
I'm
the tip of my
just
tongue.
like, they had a great season last year, but I don't think what happened last year is sustainable for this year. I think this is going to be the team that we see take a step back more than any other team in the NFC, if you ask me.
Yeah, they did bring in Kobe Bryant and Devin Bush, for their defense. I can agree. I more so. I would say that the Lions would win this division because I feel like they are the most complete team all around. They've got arguably the best running back in the NFL. Jared Goff is a good quarterback that can run that offense. You've got an outstanding 1-2 punch at wide receiver. You've got Laporta coming off his injury that's coming back. Solid offensive line, solid defense. I feel like, in my opinion, it's Detroit this year that's going to win this division. I could be swayed on Minnesota. I think Minnesota, Green Bay, and Chicago, all three could all be a couple games apart from each other. I think that they're all extremely balanced.
So since we're kind of like split on this one, do you want to pick the winner and I'll pick second place?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll pick Detroit. I feel fairly confident it's Detroit.
Okay. Second place, I'm going with Minnesota. I think they're going to kind of get back to that team that we've known them to be the last couple of years. Last year, I disagreed with them letting Sam Darnold walk. I feel like they should have paid him. Why they let him walk is beyond me, especially when you drafted the worst quarterback in the history of the sport. So, and then on top of drafting the worst quarterback in the history of the sport, you let him start last year, and he was terrible. So, in my opinion, like, Kyler Murray should already be named the starter. Why would you want to roll out there with J.J. McCarthy again? If you cannot be successful in an offense with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, you got Aaron Jones and who was the RB2? Jordan Mason?
Yeah.
Was that the running back too last year?
I was trying to think of who it was.
You can't be successful with these guys. I'm sorry. I'm checked out on you. You also have T.J. Hawkinson as your tight end. So I'm just done with him, and I think Kyler Murray is going to provide enough for them to be able to get back to the Minnesota that we knew from a few years back.
Yeah, and it really comes down to the coaching staff too. You can't send J.J. McCarthy out there again. Like, he has proven that he is not an NFL-ready quarterback right now. That doesn't mean that he can't elevate himself eventually and become a good quarterback. Not right now. He had the first game he ever started, he had a fluky, insane fourth quarter run that cost me a week win in fantasy football. Maybe it pissed me off, made me mad. But outside of that, he was terrible. I mean, every ball was bad. The reads were wrong. They were slow. He did not look like an NFL-ready quarterback. And, I mean, I feel like most college fans of at least Ohio State could see that. You could see that team in Michigan, when he was there, had outstandingly good running backs and a phenomenal defense. Their quarterback was not good. So as long as they start Kyler Murray, I could see them fighting to win the division. But if J.J. McCarthy comes out there week one, this team's not doing anything different than they did last year.
Right. And I don't think that's happening. I mean, you don't go out and get Kyler Murray for a mere competition. I feel like last year you got a good taste of what you have in J.J. McCarthy. And I'm sorry, I just think it's time to move on. But you're also talking about a coach that arguably is probably on the hot seat. So, like, he's not going to sit here and play games with that. So, if they let down again this year, the Vikings could look to move on from him.
Yeah. All right, so we have our division winners and most second places. Now we have to figure out, of these remaining teams, is it Minnesota, Seattle, and Philadelphia that round out the NFC?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the only two teams that could really compete is if Chicago or San Francisco can overtake Minnesota.
Right.
Philadelphia, I mean, if AJ Brown gets traded and Mekhi Lemon turns out to not be too good, you could potentially see Philadelphia stumbling a bit and not making the playoffs. But I don't think, as of right now, that's the case. I think
Yeah.
Mekhi Lemon's going to be a pretty solid wide receiver. I think Jalen Hurts is going to continue to be a good quarterback, not a great one at times. But I think that, I think it's going to be the Seahawks for certain and Philadelphia for certain. And I think Minnesota. I can agree with
Yeah.
that. So that would put goodbye. And now you got the
1,
seedings,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Man, that's tough.
isn't it? Like
I know.
these three right here, all three could all, or four, Green Bay could all four make the playoffs too. And I wouldn't be
And,
shocked.
and San Francisco, like they got Mike Evans like in their offense this year. So it's like when they get their defensive stars back healthy, I mean that's a team that, oh man,
You got Mike Evans,
really
Jawan
tough.
Jennings, if healthy, George Kittle, CMC. I mean, and they got a good who's their coach?
Almost
I can't
who?
remember.
Who we talking about?
The 49ers.
Oh, they
Uh,
got Kyle Shanahan.
yeah, who's just I mean, he made that offense look so good.
Almost, oh man, I almost want to switch San Francisco and Minnesota. I just, oh man, I almost feel disrespectful leaving San Francisco out.
I agree. I think that San Francisco could win the Super Bowl. I think they're a really good
I
football
think we
team.
should switch them. I think we should switch them.
All right, you've convinced me. Uh,
Wow, that's so hard.
it's very hard, but yeah, I mean,
When the schedule releases. We can do another video too.
yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
As for the seeding, I would assume we're on the same page that it's probably going to be the Rams as the 1 seed.
I like the Rams. Yeah,
Yeah.
of all the teams listed here, I like the moves that they've made more than anybody else.
Yeah. For the 2nd seed, me personally, I think it's going to be the Lions. But I could see Dallas sneaking in as the potential 2nd seed. But right now, I think that they'll still end up around the 3rd seed just because of I don't know, because the Lions got to play 6 games against their divisional rival or divisional opponents that are
Right.
extremely good.
I that's one of the tough things about Seattle too, is like they have to play 6 games against the Rams and the 49ers. And because I like Seattle as the 2 seed, I don't think they're going to drop off that much.
Can they be the 2 seed as a division, not winning the division?
Oh, yeah, no, sorry.
Oh, I was
No,
going to
they
say, I
can't.
have them as the
They
5 seed.
can't.
They're the best
Yeah,
team outside
no.
of the winners.
Yeah, no, they can't. So you're right. I'm tripping there.
All good.
So
I'll let it slide.
2 seed, man, I don't know. It's hard for me to believe in Detroit after the massive step back they took last year with Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn not being there anymore. So I personally, I like Dallas. I mean, for Dallas, it's that question of where, the defense. Are they going to be able to perform and be able to not be as bad as they've been in recent years? But I like their addition so far this year. So I like Dallas there as a 2 seed.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I'm pretty high on Dallas. I know that it all comes down to their playoff choking. But their offense was so fun to watch. They're explosive. They're good. And they made necessary changes to defense to improve that. And it's only up from there. They were a terrible defense last year. You can't be worse. You did good in the draft. I could see them finishing as a 2 seed, benefiting that they're also in a weaker division.
Yep. And we have so the Cowboys, for headlines as far as deals that they've made. I didn't realize they got safety Jalen Thompson from the Cardinals. That's a great add on top of with what they have in Caleb Downs. So I feel very confident in their safety room. They also got Kobe Durant, and they traded for Rashawn Gary. So on top of getting Malachi Lawrence, and you got Quentin Williams there, they also got Rashawn Gary to add to the mix, which didn't they did they get Gary last year, like midseason?
Yes. I think they traded.
So
I think they traded one of their
it was
picks
part
for
of the
it.
Micah Parsons trade. I
Yes.
think it was part of the Micah Parsons trade. So I like Dallas this year. I think they've made a lot of great additions to the defense.
Yeah. As for the 6th seed, I would like to see. I think San Francisco is going to be there.
Yeah.
I think that they're going to dominate every game, and I think they'll. I think that I could see them splitting the Seahawks and maybe splitting the Rams.
Yep.
But I think they're going to dominate a lot of the other games that they're in, which will put Philadelphia, which I think is going to come down between Philadelphia and if Minnesota figures it out between them on who's going to fill in that 7th seed to finish out the seeding.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just type these in real quick. That'll be a fun matchup if it's Dallas and Philly week or in the wild card.
Right.
Detroit.
Philly's defense obviously is going to be good, but I don't know. If they do lose AJ Brown, which it sounds like they are, people don't understand. Like you can sit here and tell me, oh well, we spent a first round pick on this, or we traded for Dontavian Wicks. Like you don't understand how hard it is to replace a guy like AJ Brown. That is the superstar of that team outside of Saquon Barkley. That is a top. Some people could argue he's a top 5 wide receiver. He's definitely top 10. That is not easy to replace, and you're not going to get that out of a rookie right off the bat. So, like, Jamar Chase was someone that came, right off the bat was a superstar. Justin Jefferson. I don't think Mekhi Lemon will be that.
No, and I don't. I think that's the reason. Like, there's a reason he fell so far in the draft behind Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate. It's because he's not viewed as the same.
Right.
Which, who knows what that is? I don't personally think that he is going to be able to replace who AJ Brown is. Obviously, different positions. Like, one's a slot player, one's an outside receiver. But I think AJ Brown brought a level of offensive skills that they're losing that is going to be hard to replace.
Right.
As for the wild card, so that would put it Denver versus the Chargers, Baltimore versus New England, and Houston versus Cincinnati. And then the NFC, it would be Dallas versus Philly, the Lions versus the 49ers, and the Panthers versus the Seahawks.
Cincinnati versus Houston would be such a fun matchup.
Yeah, their defense versus our offense would be. But I think, I guess we could start with that one. I think that it could be very low scoring. But I think with what we've done on defense this year, I think that would be the difference. I think that we would win a close, low-scoring game.
Yeah, like a 17-13 type of game.
Yeah, like a game that we could win like on a last-second field goal or like forcing a turnover after CJ Stroud's like struggled all game. I could see it going either way. But with what we've done defensively on the defensive line, and they've not really made crazy upgrades on their offensive line, I could see that being a very good defensive battle, which is weird to say with the Bengals, but I could see that being an exciting defensive battle that we would pull out because we still have a better offense.
Yep. So I think Denver. I like Denver beating the Chargers. I mean, barring injury, I don't see how the Chargers would win that matchup, and I would say Baltimore would beat New England too, unless you disagree.
That one's tougher because the first one, Denver, I agree. They're a more well-rounded team. They're more complete. Justin Herbert, if his offensive line stays healthy and the defense plays good, I could see them maybe making it interesting, but Denver is such a good, complete team. And if they get ahead early with the defense they have with Nick Bonito rushing the quarterback, and they have 3 usable running backs in the backfield, I could see them being a phenomenal team when it comes to in-game being able to get that clock chewed down.
For sure.
As for Baltimore, New England, it's really hit or miss. Like if they get AJ Brown to improve that defense or the offense, and Lamar's been known to not be that good in the playoffs, I could see it going either way. I agree that Baltimore's a better team. Lamar's a better quarterback. Derrick Henry is a better running back right now, at least with where they're currently at for this season, than what the Patriots could offer. I think that Baltimore would win too, but I wouldn't be surprised if New England won.
Yeah. I mean, I'll kind of let you pick that one there. Obviously Lamar has had his choking issues in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't believe in New England this year. I just don't.
No, I'm good with choosing Baltimore. I think that New England kind of got exposed in the playoffs last year. I could see Baltimore sneaking by, kind of like the Bengals will do against Houston for different reasons, obviously. But I could see Baltimore sneaking by in like a lower scoring game where both offenses are struggling.
Yeah.
Over on this side of the ball, you got Dallas and Philly starting off. I think Dallas is the better team. I think that Dallas would win that game. I think that they could win that game potentially by double digits.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I've kind of felt this way about Dallas for the last couple of years. I just feel like they've been massively underwhelming on the defensive side of the ball. But I feel like Dallas has really they've kind of been my favorites to take the division the last couple of years. And so, I'm really hoping to see them live up to their hype this year, but I agree. That's a rivalry matchup. So I don't know if I see a double digit win there. Because, most of those games in a rivalry are always pretty close. But I do think Dallas is the better team this year.
I agree. I look at both of their offenses in a world where AJ Brown's not there, and I just don't see where Saquon and Jalen Hurts can keep up with what Dallas offense does.
Right.
Like if you've got your whole offense healthy and you've got CD out there, George Pickens, Jake Ferguson, and even Javonte Williams, who had a great breakout year, I would just be shocked to see the Eagles be able to keep up with them, especially when they're playing in Dallas.
Right.
But we both agree Dallas would win that one. Then you got Detroit and San Francisco. This is a tough one. Both of these teams are really good, really well-rounded. I would maybe give a slight edge to the Lions just because they're playing at home, but I would give the coaching of San Francisco a slight edge. I think I would lean more towards San Francisco winning this game.
Let's see. I agree, mainly because I'm not a Dan Campbell believer. I love what he's done in Detroit as far as turning around that franchise. They finally are getting in the playoffs. They're not like a bottom of the barrel team every year. I mean, he has done great things for them, but they were supposed to be in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they got boat raced by the Commanders on their home turf. And then last year they vastly underwhelmed according to expectations. They're also a team that just seems to struggle to stay healthy. And most of that reason is because Dan Campbell, when they're up 50-7 in week 4, still has their starters in playing the whole game.
Yeah, just boost the stats.
He's got to change that philosophy a little bit. I don't know if he will. So I like San Francisco in that game.
All right. And I'm gonna kind of do this because I feel like I think that's how it works. As for this last one, I feel like we don't really need to discuss much. I think that Seattle will mollywop the Panthers.
Yeah.
I don't really see the Panthers being able to match what the Seahawks bring on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what the playoffs would look like with the reseeding.
Yep. And then the next seeding. So if San Francisco were to win that matchup, I can't see
my bad. I misread that. I forgot San Francisco didn't win the division. It would be this, right?
Correct.
Seattle. That's some good matchups on both sides of the game. That's some good content right there. Buffalo and Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is Josh Allen's dad. You can't tell me otherwise. Ever since I watched the way that when we went to that game, which those of you who don't know, we went to the game where T. Higgins ran into DeMar Hamlin and had all that stuff happen. Now that he's okay, I think we both agree that was one of the most unfortunate things in a selfish way for us, because we were hyping that up for months, getting ready to go to that game, and that happened, and we were unfortunately didn't get to watch the rest of that game, and it didn't end up mattering for us because it basically never happened, and it screwed the Bengals over. But when they played again in the playoffs, Joe Burrow looked like prime Tom Brady when it was snowing. You remember that game?
Yeah.
And I don't. Buffalo is improved, but I feel like Cincinnati's better, and I think Joe Burrow's better.
And Buffalo loves, their defense loves being in zone. Cincinnati eats that alive. That's one of the reasons why Buffalo struggles so much against Cincinnati. Joe Burrow eats up on zone coverages. So I think that, I agree. I mean, Josh Allen, they beat Cincinnati last year for the first time, and that was when Joe Burrow was kind of new off of his injury. And not only that, even with one of the worst defenses in the league, the game was close until Joe Burrow threw that pick six.
He threw back-to-back pick sixes that you could argue if he was in that position another 9 times, he would have been 9 for 10 on how that turned out. That was just
Right.
super bad timing and bad luck. That it would be hard to replicate having that kind of unfortunate ending to a football game.
Right.
But I think Cincinnati overall is a more talented team, honestly, on both sides of the ball. If they can get coached properly and scheme properly, I don't see how Buffalo, with their offense per se, even though it's good, matches the Bengals.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Yeah, and then on the other side, you got Denver and Baltimore. I think Denver wins that. I think this is where you kind of see Lamar Jackson struggle against a very good defense. Not really having a true wide receiver one. I think Zay Flowers is more of a wide receiver two, playing a wide receiver one role. I could see where Denver shows off how they're more of a complete team and they're able to win that game against Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in Lamar to get the team over the hump due to his playoff history. And again, like I said, I don't think Baltimore is really a better team than they were last year. So, I do think Denver wins. I think their defense would be a little bit too overwhelming.
Yeah. Other side of the ball, these are really good matchups. You got the Rams and the 49ers. You could tell me that either of these teams would win and go on to win the Super Bowl, and I could believe it. I lean more towards the Rams. I feel like they are a more complete overall team, and I think Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback remaining in the NFC. I think that between him and having Puka and Devontae Adams on one of his last years where he's really an elite receiver, mixed with Blake Corum and Kyron Williams in the backfield, Jared Verse on the defensive side of the ball, getting at the quarterback, I think the Rams would win a close game that's fairly high scoring.
Yeah, I think I do like the Rams in that game. I mean, San Francisco, they should be a pretty good team this year, but I do think with getting Trent McDuffie, that all-pro corner from the Chiefs, I just think that, barring injury, their team should do really well this season.
Yeah. As for the second one, me personally, I kind of see Seattle winning this. More so because I feel like, yes, Dallas's defense has improved, but I don't feel like it's high enough to the level yet where it would be able to stop Seattle's offense. And I feel like it could be a little bit of a back and forth where Seattle would win a close game. But if the defense of the Dallas Cowboys improve, I could see them taking this game just due to the fact that Caleb Downs turns into an All-Pro his rookie season.
Well, the biggest thing for Seattle for me is, like, for instance, the Philadelphia Eagles, they were the most explosive when they had Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator. When he left, the Eagles' offense hasn't been the same. So for me, I'm kind of curious to see what Seattle's going to look like this year. Are they even going to be the same? So I don't know. I feel like the jury's out on them a little bit as far as to see how they're going to perform. But like you said, I like Seattle. I love the additions that Dallas has made this year, but I would agree. I think I like Seattle in this game more.
Yeah, and you also have to consider, like, Sam Darnold's not going to replicate what he did last playoffs. He's not going to have that perfect touchdown to interception ratio. And he also had a lot of games where they still won, but he struggled immensely, and he cannot do that against these teams like Dallas, eventually the Rams.
Right.
He can do that against the Panthers if he wants. They're not going to score touchdowns. He has to play like he did last year if they want to have a chance to go back-to-back. But I think that this game, at least, he's going to be able to flow enough offensively to where they'll be able to rely on their defense to get the stops they need to get them the win.
Yeah, for sure.
This is where it gets kind of tougher. I'm gonna let you start this one off with Denver and Cincinnati. We'll be playing
tough.
We'll be playing in Denver for this one too.
Because I'm biased.
You are biased.
So I mean, but this is tough because Jalen Waddle, like, as good as he is, he also has a little bit of an injury past. I mean, as someone who has owned him in fantasy football, I feel like every single game I'm getting a notification saying he's questionable and that he went to the locker room for something. So the unfortunate part for, like, Denver, as good as I like the additions they made, if Waddle were to get hurt, they're right back at square one for their offense. And I like the additions that, like we've talked about with the Bengals defense that they've made to be able to compete with a team like Denver. I like the Oh man, that's tough because
And you don't really
like I,
have like a last season kind of, not really to go off of, but to kind of look back on, because we had Jake Browning in at that time, and that was a completely different offense that got absolutely
yeah,
bullied. That was one of
yep,
those games where, like, if you were to say like Ohio State versus the Cleveland Browns, that's kind of like what it felt like watching.
right. Yeah, I mean, if barring injury, like if these teams were meeting in the AFC Championship, I personally like Cincinnati. God, that's so hard because I don't want to sound biased, but
But that's
I just
where,
love.
like, we've been talking about this whole day, is like they have made the improvements where they had to make it. So it's not like we're running back with the same Cincinnati defense that drafted Cassius Howell in the second, and that was really all you saw. They've
Right.
done the signings, they've made the signings, they've made the trades, like they've put themselves in potential to be contenders, and they've been kind of honestly blessed with their matchups with who they're playing against, because I feel like they play well against them. It really is like, I feel like it would be another game that comes down to the wire. But I think Joe Burrow is the better quarterback in that matchup, which is where I
Yeah.
think that you could edge Cincinnati being the better team.
Yep. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
picking Cincinnati.
people can call us
So
biased. They can do whatever they want, but this is our podcast and we're sticking by it. Over here, this is like the. I think this is. It makes sense. I think these are the best two teams in the NFC. Um, I think personally we're having a rematch of the Super Bowl from 20. What was that? 2022, 2023. I think
2021.
yeah, I think it's going to be the Rams again. I think they're just a more complete team. I think that Matthew Stafford's the best quarterback in that conference. Um, they're
Well, here's
both.
what's crazy to think about too is the Super Bowl this year is in SoFi Stadium, which is where it was when we played them in 2021. So we are literally getting the same exact rematch if it plays out this way. Same stadium and everything.
Which, when I was doing this, I wasn't even thinking about how it could end up as Cincinnati and the Rams. But I feel like if the Bengals ended up playing like Baltimore in the divisional, I feel like I could see us losing that, just because it would probably be a night game in Baltimore. They would have all the momentum. I could see us losing if we get a rough matchup early, but I feel like if we hit a stride where we're in the AFC Championship and we don't have to play against Mahomes, I feel like we're in a position where it's a free road to the, not a free road, but a path to the Super Bowl.
Right.
I personally think that the Seahawks are not going to win this game. I think that the Rams. It was surprising that they did not win the Super Bowl last year, but I still think with the additions they've made at corner and their offense has still stayed basically intact, I think the Rams are going to make it to the Super Bowl.
That and I I think the Rams defense is in a position where let's say like you got Trent McDuffie that's following JSN all game and you also send a safety over to double team him. Who do the Rams have now on or I'm sorry, who do the Seahawks have now on their offense that's going to go out there and win them the game? You lost Kenneth Walker. We'll see what the rookie running back is from Notre Dame that they took at the end of the first round. But Raheem Shaheed, I don't view as a T. Higgins type wide receiver too. That's going to win them the game. So we'll kind of see there. But yeah, I like the Rams.
Yeah. So yeah, we got our rematch. Cincinnati Bengals versus the Rams in SoFi Stadium. Stafford versus Burrow. This one's tough. Like, I personally, as non-biased as I can be, I think that it's the Rams game to lose. You basically have home field advantage. I don't know how the ticketing works and how if they're able to finesse it to where the Bengals fans can actually show up. But I think that's as improved as the Bengals are. I still feel like the Rams are a more complete, ready, win now team.
That's tough. So tough
It's very tough.
because the Bengals just have so many players that are in their primes right now, whereas like the Rams have aging players. So how much of that does affect the Rams if they were to meet in this matchup? So let's see, they still have Devontae Adams under contract, right?
Yeah. Which I kind
So
of look at Devontae Adams and Puka versus DJ Turner and Dax Hill, or Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson versus Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
right,
I think Trent McDuffie is the best corner, and then I think Jalen Watson's the fourth best. So it's like this is like
right.
such a neck and neck.
And this is a game too where you look at the trenches. That's where it's really going to come down to is whose defensive line and offensive line is going to go out there and win them the football game.
Yeah.
So, but the the Bengals never won a Super Bowl before, so I very well could see the Rams squeaking this one out again. So as long as there's no phantom holding call to set them up first and goal like last time, but
yeah, I mean, I this could be one of those where it's like the Rams may win it, but then I think that the Bengals will then be contenders for the next 5 or 6 years. I could see them at least winning 1-2 if they maintain this type of team.
right.
But yeah,
We're gonna see how it plays out. I feel like where the Rams are nice here, they're kind of the safer pick because I feel like you know what you're gonna get out of the Rams this year if they stay healthy. Whereas the Bengals, we really don't know yet. So
yeah,
while they've made the moves, it's all about putting it together. Is Al Golden that defensive coordinator to get them over the hump? So that's the biggest question mark. Whereas the Rams, they don't have the question marks that the Bengals do currently.
right. But yeah, so that is our pre-schedule release.
Scheduled to change.
Yeah, NFL predictions. Obviously subject to change. Yep. Signings could happen, trades could happen. You could come out and have crazy schedules. So we'll do this again. But that's all for that.